说中文。Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hi, elementary listeners. This is Chinese Pod. I'm Jenny.
Hey guys, I'm John.
Today we're in a restaurant.
Yeah, and we're eating a special dish very well known in China and very well liked by us foreigners.
对, that this dish is from Sichuan, but it's not as spicy as most of other Sichuan dishes.
Or maybe just in Shanghai, huh?
The localized version. Anyway, the dish we're talking about is 鱼香肉丝. 鱼香肉丝.
All right, let's break that word down into two parts. So the first part, the first two characters are
鱼香 鱼香.
So literally that's like fish fragrance.
对, or fish flavor.
Okay, so fish, that's second tone, right?
Yes, 鱼
And then the fragrant part is first tone.
香.
So this name, Yu Xiang, might appear in different dish names, but we're just talking about this one today.
Yes, the most famous one. 鱼香肉丝. 肉丝.
Okay, so 肉 meaning meat and 丝 like little strips, right?
对的，那肉丝 fourth tone and first tone refers to shredded pork in this case.
Okay, so we wanted to get this dish name down before we go into the dialogue. It's 4 characters, but don't let it trip you up.
Now you know what it means, so let's listen to the dialogue now.
Okay.
对话第一遍。
鱼香肉丝，
饿死了，快吃吧。
好吃，味道真不错。
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
什么？不是？
对了，我们好像没点。
可是我们已经吃完了。
第二遍。
鱼香肉丝，
饿死了，快吃吧。
好吃，味道真不错。
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
什么？不是？
对了，我们好像没点。
可是我们已经吃完了。
第三遍。
鱼香肉丝，
饿死了，快吃吧。
好吃，味道真不错。
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
什么？不是？
对了，我们好像没点。
可是我们已经吃完了。
Okay, so we're now going to do the translation.
鱼香肉丝
Pork strips in garlic sauce.
鱼香肉丝
Pork strips in garlic sauce.
鱼香肉丝。饿死了，快吃吧。
I'm starving. Let's hurry up and eat.
饿死了，快吃吧。
I'm starving. Quick, let's eat.
饿死了，快吃吧。好吃，味道真不错。
Delicious. The flavor really isn't bad.
好吃，味道真不错。
It's delicious. It has a really nice flavor.
好吃，味道真不错。小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
Miss, excuse me, that pork strips and garlic sauce wasn't in your order.
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
Miss, I'm sorry. That pork strips and garlic sauce isn't your dish.
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。什么？不是？
What? It's not?
什么？不是？
What? It's not?
什么？不是？对了，我们好像没点。
Oh, right. It seems we didn't order that.
对了，我们好像没点。
Oh, right. I don't think we ordered that.
对了，我们好像没点。可是我们已经吃完了。
But we already finished eating it.
可是我们已经吃完了。
But we've already finished eating it.
可是我们已经吃完了。
Okay, so the dish going to the wrong table isn't always the greatest tragedy, huh?
就是啊，鱼香肉丝很好吃。
That is true. So let's go to the first line of the dialogue, and I have a question for you, Jenny. Why does the waiter just say the name of the dish?
Because as he's putting down your dish, he's also announcing what it is, and it's a common way of doing things in China.
Okay, so he's not necessarily talking to anyone in particular?
He's just letting you know what dish it is, although you might be able to distinguish it yourself, otherwise it's a bit scary, huh?
So he's giving you a chance to notice that it's the wrong dish, right?
是的, but they don't. Now, John, I want to ask you, you translated 鱼香肉丝 as pork strips in garlic sauce.
Yeah, that's not a great translation, I have to admit. When I first came to China, one of my initial projects to help learn Chinese, to learn food, was to translate a menu for a Chinese restaurant. And I made up my own translation for yuxiang because it doesn't really exist in English.
对, now what's your translation?
Fishalicious.
Oh, 很有创意耶.
I called this one Fishalicious pork strips.
Oh, now I want to explain a bit. What does this 鱼香 mean exactly? We already know 鱼香 means like fish fragrance or fish flavor. So actually, this kind of sauce, which tastes sweet, sour, and a bit spicy, was traditionally used to cook fish in Sichuan.
Okay, so it's kind of like a sauce for cooking fish.
Yes, but then people expanded to use it in other kinds of dishes like pork.
And now it's more famous for non-fish dishes, right?
对啊，就是鱼香肉丝 being the most famous.
Okay, that makes sense.
好，那 the two people, they're really starving.
Yeah, so how do we say that in Chinese?
饿死了，饿死了。
All right, so that's fourth tone, right?
对啊，饿。
And then 死, that's third tone.
对，就是 to die. 那饿死了 is a commonly used but somewhat exaggerated way of saying I am really hungry.
Okay, just like in English, we say I'm starving when you're not technically starving.
对，饿死了。And then she goes on to say something I think is quite typical in China. 快吃吧，快吃吧。
Right, so 吃吧 means let's eat,
对
or you go ahead and eat.
And then we have this word 快，第四声。
Fast, right?
对 fast. And we tend to use 快 a lot in Chinese.
Yeah, for things you should do or things that we want to do together.
对 they're not actually hurrying or rushing you. It's done out of consideration for you.
Okay, but in this case, they are starving.
So they want to dig in really fast.
Perhaps before the waiter realizes his mistake, right?
对啊，快吃吧. So they started to eat the dish and the girl says, 味道真不错，味道真不错.
Okay, so they're commenting on how the food tastes, but they use the word 味道, right?
对，味道, fourth and neutral tone.
And that means the flavor, the taste.
对的。
So you'll notice that in English, we often say, oh, it tastes good, it tastes like this, it tastes like that. But in Chinese, rather than using a verb, you typically comment on the flavor as a noun.
是的，就是味道。那 in this case, 味道真不错，就是 it tastes really nice.
So literally, the flavor is really not bad.
对呀，
It's really quite good.
是的。Now, as they were enjoying the dish, the waiter realized his mistake.
Okay, so it comes in with a little apology, right?
对，他说：“小姐，不好意思，
Okay, kind of a minor apology.
鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
Okay, so it's not your dish.
对，不是你们的菜。
So 菜, of course, can also mean vegetables, but here it's clear that it means a dish.
Yes, it does. 不是你们的菜 not your dish.
Okay, so 菜 is fourth tone, and we often see this use when we talk about ordering food, right?
对，点菜，点菜。
Okay, third tone, fourth tone there. And we're about to see this dian coming right up, right?
是的。对了，我们好像没点。对了，我们好像没点。
Okay, so first of all, we have this 对了, right?
Yes, 对 as in correct, accurate.
Okay, so why does there have to be a la there?
It's a common phrase, 对了, used when you have just realized something.
Okay, so it does mean correct, but it's like, oh, I just realized this is correct.
Yes, yes.
It sometimes is even used to mean, oh, I just remembered this thing. That's right, I want to tell you.
对了, yes.
Okay, so anyway, they realize the mistake. 对了. And then they say,
我们好像没点。我们好像没点。
okay, so 好像, meaning it seems that.
Yes.
All right, that's third tone, fourth
First
tone.
tone. 对，好像。And then we hear the verb 点. But in this case, it's the negative 没点。
Okay, it's not only negative, but it's the past negative.
对
So when you hear, oh, Chinese doesn't have any conjugation, it doesn't have tenses, there's one kind of little exception. It's not a conjugation, but when you talk about the past,
对
you don't use 不, you use.
没点。
Okay, so we did not order it.
Yes. And for example, if you want to say I didn't go, that would be 没去，对吧？我没去。
Yes, so this distinction is mandatory and it's quite useful.
是的
Because if you ever hear 不点, then you know they're talking about what they're not going to order.
do.
or
Exactly.
yeah.
好。But the good news is, at least for the two diners.
They're no longer starving.
对啊，可是我们已经吃完了。可是我们已经吃完了。
Okay, so this phrase is very useful. Let's point out first how we say already in Chinese.
已经，已经。
Okay, that's third tone and first tone.
是的
But 已经 is always accompanied by a la.
，yes. As in this case, 已经吃完了，已经吃完了。
Okay, so you have 已经 and then a verb and then la.
Yeah.
So for example, he already left.
他已经走了，他已经走了。
Okay, so in this case, what they already did was finish eating, which is.
吃完，已经吃完了。
Okay, so in English, we put the finish before the verb, finished eating. In Chinese, you say eat to completion.
对，吃完，吃完。
Okay, and then this phrase, which you'll use all the time once you know, is we've already finished eating.
我们已经吃完了，我们已经吃完了。
Okay, and with that, I think we're ready to listen to the dialogue 3 more times, right?
Yes.
Welcome back to another installment of Chinese Pod Trivia. And the question for you is, for what test does Chinese Pod offer preparation services for? Is it A, the polygraph, B, the colonoscopy, C, the HSK test, or D, the CAT scan?
The CAT scan?
Ooh, sorry, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, the HSK test. That's right, Chinese Pod will thoroughly prepare you to pass this rigorous test of proficiency in Chinese. ChinesePod.com/HSK.
对话第一遍。
鱼香肉丝，
饿死了，快吃吧。
好吃，味道真不错。
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
什么？不是？
对了，我们好像没点。
可是我们已经吃完了。
第二遍。
鱼香肉丝，
饿死了，快吃吧。
好吃，味道真不错。
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
什么？不是？
对了，我们好像没点。
可是我们已经吃完了。
第三遍。
鱼香肉丝，
饿死了，快吃吧。
好吃，味道真不错。
小姐，不好意思，鱼香肉丝不是你们的菜。
什么？不是？
对了，我们好像没点。
可是我们已经吃完了。
Okay, so we hope this dialogue content is all clear. But one of the things that might take you a little bit of time to get the handle of is to memorize a dish name, which is 4 characters long.
Yes.
That's 4 tones, right? And the one in today's lesson again was
鱼香肉丝，鱼香肉丝。
okay. And with these Chinese dish names, it's really helpful to break them down into parts.
For example, 鱼香和肉丝。
Right. So this yuxiang, this part will appear in other dish names.
对啊，now one other very popular 鱼香 dish is actually a vegetarian dish.
Well, semi-vegetarian, right?
哦，对
They often add the little ground
，minced
meat.
pork.
Yeah.
Now this dish is 鱼香茄子，鱼香茄子。
Okay, so I would call that fishalicious eggplant.
对，那茄子 of course is eggplant.
All right, so that second tone in neutral, right? 茄子.
对，茄子。And that's also something you might hear when you're taking a photo.
Ah,
It's used as the Chinese equivalent of cheese when taking a photo.
but without the yuxiang, right?
没有鱼香，就是茄子。
Okay, so going back to yuxiang肉丝, this 肉丝 also frequently appears in dish names, right?
对的。For example, 青椒肉丝，青椒肉丝。
Okay, so 青椒 is green pepper.
对，那青椒肉丝 is sliced green pepper stir-fried with pork strips.
Okay, and then that 青椒, that's 2 first tones, right?
Yes.
All right, well, anyway, we could go on and on about dish names. There are so many. But if you want to ask about any other things or if you want to see how these words are written, please come to ChinesePod.com and join in.
And of course, if you want to practice today's language, you can always find a Chinese Pod teacher.
All right, so we'll see you on ChinesePod.
再见。
再见.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number
1406.
So just go to www.chinesepod.com/1406
1406.
and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/1406.
1406.